Welcome everybody to the luncheon today. Nice to see everybody here. A little different room here, so we'll try to stay organized. I kind of like it up here with a little bit of light on us. A lot of things to talk about today. First of all, I will remind you about the signing party on Wednesday night for football at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. There are just a couple of seats remaining. If those sell, David Hirsch may sell you one at his table. But if you haven't gotten in on that, you do have to purchase in advance because there's a limited number of seats. So if you haven't done it and you would like to, see David or Robbie here afterward. Portland State Athletics, the track and field team is again in the middle of the indoor season. We had 3 school records last week. I'm going to mention those real quick. Sheldon Prince set a school record in the 400 meters. Sarah Dean in the mile. And Camelia Mayfield in the 5,000 meters. That was all last week in Seattle. So the track and field team has really had a strong start to the season. Just already a few weeks away from the indoor track championships. So we're real excited about what they're doing. Tennis team has already begun playing matches. Conference matches are coming as we speak. Golf team practicing a couple of weeks away from competition, which leads up to our very first speaker today, who is about to begin competition. Some of you may not yet know her. She's a new head coach here at Portland State, Barb Sherwood. The softball team begins this weekend, let me get this right, at the Arizona State Tournament, and this is who they face opening weekend: Colorado State, Indiana, New Mexico, Utah, and California. So really an exciting and tough tournament this week to open the season and open the career. That's what you wanted. As tough a schedule as you could get. So good for you. So right now we're going to hear a few words from head softball coach Barb Sherwood.
Hi, everyone. Super excited to be here at Portland State in and of itself, but even more excited to get on the field. Snowing today is perfect weather for softball, so Arizona State's generally a good tournament to open up with. You have to be invited, and it's one of the top tournaments in the country. So, we had that invite for quite some time, and I'm just happy that we get to continue the invite. Our schedule across the board's pretty competitive. We play everyone in the Pac-12. We should be in the mini Pac-12, but the West Coast softball in general is pretty strong, obviously. So we get to play along, the West Coast as often as possible. We don't even go east at all. Other than for our conference play, which is not very far east, obviously. But our kids, have bought in from day one. They're super excited about us. They've bought in. They've gone 110%. They've done everything that we've asked of them. Great kids in general. We already got their first semester grades, and they came back with really, really good grades. We did a lot of projects working, outside community-wise in the fall. We obviously don't have too much time to do it now, but I had a Christmas party at my house, just to get them together, and I asked if they please would bring just 1 canned good per person, and they filled up 2 whole boxes to take in. So, some people even brought in just a dozen cans. So, really, really, really excited about them. Really excited about our prospects. Offensively, we'll be stronger. Pitching-wise, we're going to have to catch up a little bit. And, our young kids are getting a little bit better. They've improved since we've been here. And like I said, they work their tails off. So we have good leadership. We have 2 seniors, and both seniors have stepped up, and they've gone full force, and they keep the other kids in line pretty well. They don't let them slack at all, which is a good thing. We have the junior returning that pitched about 14 innings last year, and we have a sophomore returning that pitched 21 innings. And then we have a freshman from the Seattle area, Pulwallop. She taught me how to say that. And she's got a very, very bright future, the freshman does. She's got a long way to go, but she's come a long way pretty quickly. one of our smarter kids. She's a chemistry major, and she came in with already as a sophomore, technically, in the classroom. So,
did you come on board in time to get involved in recruiting, or did you just inherit? Are some of these kids your kids?
no, sir. Softball is works pretty far in advance as far as early verbals. I did come in, and we are now, as of last week, we have now completed the class of 2014, which would be coming in next year. So when I got here, we had to get all of those kids, and there will be 4 of those, so one pitcher. So, yes.
So the freshman pitcher is a lefty, right?
Yes, sir.
So how does a lefty play the same value that the softball would do in baseball?
You get 50 points just for being a lefty. I love them, and you don't see very many of them, so they're a little bit more difficult to hit, just because you're not practicing off of the lefty every day or seeing them in general across the board.
All right, thanks, Barb. And I'm a little concerned, all this talk about paying athletes in college athletics, and I know I just got Tori Chisholm's attention, but the softball team is bought in. I heard the football team bought in. The basketball teams have bought in. These kids don't have any money, but they keep buying into what we're doing. So that is real commitment. So I think we need to get on this paying athletes thing. Next up, this young man has to get to an appointment or perhaps a class here in a little while, so I'm going to introduce him. He may not remember this, but on Monday night before we played Eastern Washington, Gary Winston came out to warm up, and I was standing by the table doing something. He comes over and picks up a basketball, and I said, "Gary." He looks at me. Gary doesn't say a lot. He's kind of a quiet guy. He lets his shooting do the talking. I said, "Gary, just keep shooting." Do you remember me telling you that, Gary? I said, "Just keep shooting." He kind of smiles. I said, "I mean it. Just keep shooting." Well, the good news is Gary Winston kept shooting all week, and the Vikings got 3 wins. Gary was our leading scorer for the week. He averaged 17 points a game. He shot 59% from the field. I think you can remember he had a pretty big shot against Montana a few weeks ago. We play Montana this Thursday, so I'm sure they're going to think a little more about guarding him this week. He hit a big shot against Sacramento State in overtime as we won that game. Gary can shoot the ball, and right now he's leading the Big Sky Conference in three-point percentage, shooting an even 500 on the season, a remarkable number. And he's playing the best basketball he's played in 3 seasons at Portland State right now. And as I said, Gary's a little bit quiet, so I'm going to make sure he gets right up close to the microphone and says a few words. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself, and feel free to ask some questions. But our athlete of the week this week is Gary Winston.
How are you guys doing? As you said, I'm pretty quiet, so I'm Gary Winston. I'm from Walla Walla, Washington, majoring in social science with a minor in child family studies right now. So I'll actually graduate this spring, but I'll still have another year to play basketball, so I'm excited about that. And that's pretty much all about it.
Got a great first name.
Thank you. Thank you.
Same as mine.
Oh, yeah.
Gary, what do you hope to do after graduation?
Well, I hope to continue to play basketball for my last year, but after that, I've always wanted to work with kids and families that just maybe haven't had the most or have dealt with a lot of different things. So hope to just work with children and family somewhere down the line.
Gary, have you have been playing your best basketball the last few weeks, no question. And you mentioned after you hit that shot against Montana that won the game, you mentioned you were in a similar situation. I think you said your freshman year where you had a chance like that. Didn't turn out so well. But when you hit that shot against Montana a couple weeks ago, did that kind of turn your game a little bit, turn it on a little bit, get you going? Or is it just one of those things?
I definitely think it gave me a lot more confidence just because I haven't always felt comfortable since I've been here. I've been dealing with things personally that have kind of kept me distracted, I'd say, on the court maybe. And so I really just give it all to God. It's just a blessing that it's all starting to fall into place kind of. So I think it was kind of a turning point for me, just kind of to let me know that I can do this and I could just get back to being my old self, having fun, and we got the win, so yeah, I think it helped a little bit. Like I said, I think I'm just getting more comfortable as we play more games and starting to get back to my old self. I actually didn't play for an entire year before I came here, so I still think I had some kinks to work out, and it just so happened that it took, maybe 3 seasons, a little longer than I expected it to, but I've never really been a shooter or considered a shooter in my career. I've always just been an athletic guard that dribbles and gets to the rim and does things like that, so I kind of just reversed what I was used to doing, so now it's just all coming together.
It was fun watching the 5 guards on the court at once, and then everybody was doing whatever they can do to help out.
Yeah.
Did you guys take it as a challenge, sort of, or?
Well, I feel like we kind of have to because, like you said, it's 5 guards, and the other team doesn't always have 5 guards out there, so we just have to just play more as a team and come together and somehow get the job done.
All right, we should also note Gary basically sat out for about 6 months of play here in the offseason. He was injured and came into the season. Once the season started, he even missed a couple games right as the season started. So he was coming back from injury, and I think that's probably made a big difference too. I think he's probably pretty close to fully healthy right now. But obviously doing a remarkable job. And just keep shooting, Gary. Please, keep shooting. And if he's not a shooter, then we haven't seen a shooter. He's a shooter. This week, the men are on the road. They play at Montana Thursday. They play at Montana State Saturday. And here to talk about is head coach Tyler Geving.
Well, I'm going to brag Gary up a little bit since he's kind of a modest guy. Speaking of working with kids, my kids are still pretty young, so they don't quite know everybody's name. But Thomas definitely knows Gary's name, and kind of always ask, when is Gary going to come over to the house again? Because when Gary comes over, he's phenomenal with our kids, and he's got a bright future of working with kids. When he gets done playing basketball, he's a great human being and great around kids. So kind of fun. I also remember recruiting Gary. I was assistant coach. It was Coach Bones last year, and Gary was a junior in high school, and I kind of knew I was going to marry my wife when she drove all the way to Yakima with me on a Friday night. We went and watched Gary play. I said, we got to go watch this good guard. He plays at Walla Walla. We're going to drive to Yakima tonight, and then we're going to drive back. So right then I kind of knew my wife was kind of the one. She kind of liked you that night too, Gary. You played well. You won in the district championship. So there's a little dating history for you. That I brought my wife to watch you play basketball in high school. So exciting week, obviously, for us. Monday night against Eastern, I think at halftime, I don't think anybody was really happy. We were down 10 and probably didn't play our best basketball. But that second half, I thought we came out, played with a lot of energy. We were kind of, they were kind of go small too. Not necessarily small, but they kind of spread you out, and all 5 of their guys could shoot it. And we were kind of getting beat with ball screens, so we just said, let's try something different. And we kind of played those 5 guys, those 5 guards against Southern Utah. So we said, let's just do it again, see what happens. And we kind of created some turnovers and some energy with that and made some plays. So that was kind of exciting, that second half, the way we played. And then it kind of carried over to Thursday night. I thought that was, I'm not sure we can play any better than what we did against Northern Colorado. And it was kind of like one of those games. It was almost like the Super Bowl yesterday. You're up 21 at half, and you're like going, I don't even like being up that much at half, because you're like, all right, they're going to make a run at some point, and if they come out and score the first 8 and then you're playing tight the rest of the game. So, but we didn't let up and we kind of kept the pedal on, and I think that was a kind of a step forward for our team that game. So that was fun to watch. And then North Dakota, I don't think that was one of our better games. We had 19 turnovers, and I think a couple times I caught a couple passes. I know Rich caught a pass over in the audience over there, and we were just real sloppy with the basketball. We shot 61% for the game, but we had 19 turnovers. So there's 19 possessions. We didn't even get a shot up, considering I think it was against Northern Colorado. We had 21 assists, 8 turnovers. The other game we had like 21 assists, 11 turnovers. So then all of a sudden we just come out and we have 19 turnovers, which I don't know how to explain that other than probably just a little carelessness. And then, but we found a way to win. Everybody, I think that shot was going to go in at the end. My heart stopped as he let it go and it hit the front rim. But I thought we got a little fortunate there. I don't think their point guard really knew how much time was on the clock. Their coach was kind of screaming and yelling at him, and all of a sudden he turned and he let it loose, and I go, oh no, is this going to go in? But it was a good homestand for us. You have to win your home games, and now we kind of talked about it as a team. The next challenge to take a step forward with our team is to go on the road, and we need to win on the road. We need to become a little bit tougher on the defensive end. We've got to be able to value the basketball better on the road and stick together a little bit more on the road when it comes to dealing with adversity. So that's something we talked about Saturday night after the game. That's our next step as a team. And if you look at the standings right now, we're 6-4. We're in third, but we're 2 games out of first, but we're also 2 games out of 10th. And it's scary. I think last week our game down to the wire, Sac State beat Weber State on a 3-quarter court shot to win it. Northern Arizona beat Idaho State at the buzzer. Montana State, Southern Utah was a 2-point game. And then Northern Colorado and Eastern went to overtime. So there's 5 games that those things could have gone either way, and that's kind of how the standings are going to go these next 10 games. So it should be a fun second half of the season. I'm sure there won't be any stress at all, so it'll be great.
The increased crowds had an impact?
Yeah, you know what? I think, Eastern was a great crowd. I thought there was a lot of energy. The Northern Colorado crowd sold out, and the student section over there was phenomenal. And actually, it sounds kind of bad. It was down a little bit Saturday, and probably wasn't as much energy as there was for the previous 2 games, and you could kind of feel that a little bit. But when there's a great crowd in there and it was loud like it was Monday and Thursday, I think it's a big time home court advantage for us. So hopefully, when we come back, we can continue to get a good student section over there. So, yeah.
Observation, I think even when you go really small, our rebounding is phenomenal. They get up.
We're small, yeah.
Sometimes you give it away on the defensive end.
Sure.
There'll be an easy putback, but they just seem to elevate our guys.
Yeah, that's kind of if I said a weakness right now when we do go small, it's probably our rebounding. But I kind of, as you watch the games again, some of the offensive rebounds we give up, it's maybe just, it's not necessarily we didn't box out, maybe the ball bounced a certain way or something, but it's definitely a concern that we have to work on it. But yeah, it is exactly. When we put 5 guys out there, then like the other night, we didn't even really post Kyle Richardson up. We just kind of put him on the perimeter and ball screened, and then, on the flip side, they have to come out and chase us. So it's a trade-off, but it's worked a little bit. Yeah.
Comment on your 2 post players. I thought they did.
Yeah, I think Kyle Richardson's coming along, and he's a kid that didn't play a lot at Long Beach State, so it kind of takes you a half a year to get kind of comfortable and getting used to playing all those minutes, and the guys are getting more confidence in him when they throw it in there, that he's making good moves. And then Brandon Cataldo is last week, right? The Eastern game was hard for him to play just because they were spreading us out, and he only played 2 minutes. But the other 2 games, he had 9 points, 9 rebounds, 9 points, 5 rebounds. And he's a big-time presence in there and alters a lot of shots. So both those guys had good weekends, yeah.
All right, Tyler, and congrats to the men's basketball team. I was going to give you a couple of numbers I failed to do. They're 6-2. I think we talked about close games last week. Well, this week they won a couple of those close games. 6-2 in close games, 5 points or less. And 5 times they've come from behind at halftime to win the game. So a lot of resilience with that team. And they're hot right now, so let's hope they just carry it out onto the road. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the road because Sherri Murrell just got off the road, barely. Just got back from North Dakota. I told her if you had to miss a Super Bowl game on a flight back, that would be the one to miss yesterday. So in that sense, she was lucky. But it was a rough road trip, as it is in the Big Sky. So rough that Sherri just leaned over and said, you know, it's 1:45. And I looked at her watch and I said, no, Sherri, it's 1:45. And she's like, oh man, I'm still on North Dakota time. I said, no, Sherri, North Dakota's 2 hours ahead. So when you were in North Dakota, your time was off too. So you're wrong there, you're wrong here. That's how bad the travel is in the Big Sky Conference. You don't know if you're coming or going. But we got her. We woke her up, got some coffee in her. She's got some energy to talk a little bit right now. I heard a number last week in the Big Sky Conference, 79% of the basketball games are won by the home team. That is the highest percentage of any Division I conference in the nation. That tells you how hard it is to win on the road, and that tells you how you got to take care of that home court advantage. I can tell you right now, the women's basketball team is getting ready to do that. They're glad to finally be off the road. They have a couple at home this week, Montana and Montana State, coming up Thursday and Saturday. And on a side note, before we introduce Sherri, I will also mention a couple of the Seattle Seahawks cheerleaders. Not a couple, several of them will be at the games Thursday and Saturday. You may not know that 2 of the cheerleaders for the Seattle Seahawks are Portland State cheerleading alumni, and they will be there. So that's pretty neat. But they will be here this weekend, and they're Super Bowl champions too, so good for them. Anyway, here to talk about her team and this week's games, Sherri Murrell.
Well, I'll keep it short. It's good to be home. Dorothy says no place like home, and it is no place like home. Last night we got in about 11 o'clock, got in my bed about midnight, and we left on Wednesday at 10 a.m. in the morning. So the kids missed a lot of school, and it was a lot of travel. We had a lot of grumpy people on the plane because they weren't showing the Super Bowl on our 4-hour flight. But yeah, it's good to be home, and it was interesting. Colby Matney, my assistant, he has on his phone, he always has the weather, and he's so obsessed with weather. And so he would always say, oh, it's 4 below, 5 below right now, but it feels like. He has a thing on there that says feels like. And I kept on telling him, it feels like the North Pole. And then our bus driver heard me, and he overheard me. He says, actually, it's colder here than the North Pole. You don't know that, but last week it was like something, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but it was 70 below wind chill factor there. So it's a brutal place. Great facilities, North Dakota, absolutely. And they talk about a great energy there. They have a lot of people that come to their women's game, but it was definitely a cold place to go. A couple of things. I feel like our team definitely has shored up one thing. A problem we had was defense, and I think we've done a way better job defensively. I think we've held 2 teams that are typically score a lot of points. We did a good job there. But I think our shooting was about as cold as the weather, and unfortunately on the shooting end. But I'll take a lot of the blame there. We're going to have to, we just haven't had the chance. We've been playing so many games to get back into the gym and get a squad that works well together. And so this week is going to be really good. We're going to put Delaney Perry start her at point because she had a phenomenal weekend. She's very comfortable. We really just need someone that wants the ball in their hands and is a pure point guard. And I think Delaney does that, and she's had to learn the challenge of going from high school to college to really understand how hard you have to play, and she did that quite well. So we're going to move her there, put some other people in their natural positions, and Kate Lands has been struggling since the Montana game, and I think we have figured out our staff after the North Dakota game. We spent a good portion of the evening just breaking down a lot of things, what we can do to better and put kids in the right positions and give them the right roles. And I think we're going to be doing that well with Kate. She really, these kids, even with the losing, the morale's down, obviously. I mean, who doesn't want to lose? But I always think that the extent of success really comes down to your commitment. And so they're committed. They're working hard. They're just, they want to win. They understand that we're working hard trying to get them in positions to win. And it's not for a lack of desire and effort. So we're looking forward to this weekend to be back home. I'm really excited for Tyler. Tyler and I, there's no doubt about it, he's been up here and said good things to me. We're good friends. And that guy, there's been a lot of doubters. And, he's come in and he's cleaned up the APR. He's done it the right way. And he and I always talk on the road trip, and I just couldn't be more proud of him. But he said, Sherri, get back home. The energy and what David Hirsch and his group has done to get a lot of people in the stands, we're looking forward to that. So I hope you guys come out and support these young ladies. They're going to really be playing their hearts out, and I'm looking forward to my new friend Barb. I think she's a great hire, and the direction of our softball program is just going to keep going and going. And Terry, I love you, but it's so good to not see you every minute of the day. But yeah, I mean, you are literally with people 24/7, so you better like them. And I love Terry, and those kids love Terry. In fact, I have to tell you something really funny before I finish. We had a horrible travel day going from Denver to North Dakota, and so we literally, it was one of those things: do we eat? Do we practice? Do we eat? Because we got in late at North Dakota, and I said we have to at least walk through some of the things that they're going to do. So we had an hour practice, and so the kids are getting their clothes on, and they're starting to walk on the practice court, and there were drums set ready for the band there. Who do I look over there playing the drums is Terry Mariani. And I'd have to say we needed to have a laugh, because there is nothing glamorous about but our kids just absolutely were just dying laughing. It was just what we needed, because it's just seriously, there's nothing glamorous about the road. And Terry was great. So we're going smaller too, and we've gone to zone, have to play a lot of zone. But I think Emily really stepped up. She had a tough game against North Dakota, but she had a great game against Northern Colorado. And then Michaela has been doing well too. So. It's one of those opportunities, something happens and you just want to make the best out of it. And I tell the kids all the time, it's better to be an optimist, and so I think they're all trying to take their chances and, look at Delaney Perry and Lauren Holt. I think they're doing a really good job of jumping into the situation that we're in with the injuries and some of the situations we've been presented. So we did a lot of she got in foul trouble. That's been probably the most difficult thing of having Angela out of our lineup is the foul trouble situation. But we did a lot of pick and pop with her, because their lineup at North Dakota was 6'4", 6'4", 6'3", and their shoulders were as wide as Minnesota, which I didn't realize was like 5 miles away from campus. We went to Cabela's. Our kids were so bored on the road. We were like, let's go to Cabela's. So it was in Minnesota. It was interesting. But we just we had to play her. We were like, let's make the best of it. And so we can't have her going on the block one-on-one with those big kids. So she did a great job picking and popping and hitting her shots. I'm really proud of her. It's a difficult situation for her, because taking Misa out has really put a little bit more load on her. But what a great kid. After our North Dakota game, she comes to my office and she's like, Coach, I know you're taking a lot of blame for what's going on out there. She's like, we believe in you. We believe in the staff, and we're going to get this done. And you look at our standings, we are literally 3 games out of three games out of second place. I mean, that's how close things are. It's unreal. So we only have 3 wins in conference, and we're 3 games out of second place. Everybody's just beating the heck out of each other, except for North Dakota. So got a good chance this week. We're looking forward to it. So, yeah, I'm just happy we're home. I'm happy we got that trip out of the way. If North Dakota keeps playing the way they are, we're probably going to make that trip if we get into the Big Sky tournament, which is all what it's about right now is trying to get into that tournament. So, if that's the reward, that's the reward. We'll go out there again and enjoy the little people they have out there. But I appreciate all your support, and just come out, and the cheerleaders will be there. I hope the Seattle Seahawks bring some of that vibe that they had. I didn't see a lick of the second half, but I hope they bring that vibe and we can get some wins back into the Stott Center. So thank you.